executive meeting today, but this week rather. But unfortunately, we have over 30 state executives, but we held a meeting batch by batch because we are trying to limit the number of people that will gather at the same time. Although we have like 250 capacity hall in our state office, but we try to hold the meeting in 2 batches in order not to be above the 20 people gathering as directed by the state government. We had one in the morning, we had another one in the evening. So we make sure that we are not more than 18 at a seat. And we are also trying to orientate our drivers, we orientate our members on how to deal with people. Then the government policy, 2 people in a row in a commercial bus. That is to say, in a commercial bus that is 14 passenger, 14 seater before, they should be trying to carry 9 passengers, 2 people on a row and 1 person in the front. So we are compliant, we are trying to, because this pandemic, the most dangerous part of it is that you won't know that you have carried it until about, let's say 2 weeks, 14 days, according to World Health Organization. And we are trying to do all these things to sensitize our people, to monitor them. And in our office, we have hand sanitizer. We have distributed some to various motor parks for our people, hand gloves, nose cover.
I can see the hand gloves.
Thank you. So for now, that's how we have gone, and we are still doing. We are not resting on our arse. We are still moving on with it.
Okay, Comrade Adekunjo, let's look at compliance now. I know that not all drivers are complying, with the reduction in the number of passengers. Talking about 2, on the 1 on the front seat and 2 on the back
each of the seats.
So how are you ensuring that they comply fully with this directive?
Well, I believe my fellow officer in this office has explained much on this particular issue. But what we are doing, as at yesterday now, yesterday is our state monthly meeting, comprising of all branches. But to reduce the number of members as described by the government, we only invite only the chairman from each of the branches across the state. So we have sanitized all of them that they should maintain that all their parks, they get sanitizers. Drivers should not exceed 2 in each of the seats, one in the front. Because by the time they mingle together, having 3 on the seat, breathing, because they said this disease can be catched from interaction with members, with co-passengers within the sitting together in the bus. So by decongesting, the number of members will reduce that, because the government, they are trying their best. And the only thing we can do is to sanitize our members to know that this is a disease that they can carry to their families at home too. So we have tried our best. Even yesterday, we did our state meeting. I'm the state organizing secretary. So we did our meeting yesterday. So telling all the chairmen that came that they should go back. We didn't do meeting at all, only to let them know that this is the position of the government concerning this epidemic disease. So we want our members to still maintain the number of, reducing the number of passengers they are having in their buses. It affects the taxi drivers, even the side Okada too. They should carry only 1 passenger. So we can only advise our members that they should comply to avoid spread of that particular disease. We don't want any disease to continue in our own domain. So that is what we are doing in our own organization too.
Okay. Now, I'll still stay with you. You are in transport business to make money.
Yes.
Now, because of this situation, they have now directed that the usual number of passengers you carry before should be reduced. How do you see this aspect of reduction in income?
Well, let's take for example, during the time of crisis of Abiola, are we not surviving? So there's nothing we can do than to abide. Because if somebody gets his standard health, the responsibility of getting more income in future. But at petrol stations now, they say they are reducing this the per liter to 125. So with that, we need to maintain as it is now. We need to, because there's nothing we can do. But if the government can assist us that, okay, the amount we are paying on petrol because of the reduction in the number of passengers we are carrying in the vehicle, if they can do that for us, it's a welcome idea. So there's nothing that we can do than to maintain that, because disease is never the friend of any individual.
Okay. Comrade Tiwalade.
Yes.
Now, when instructions are passed, particularly by those of you who are the top officials of the union, at times you do see some of your members flouting such. Do you have a set out arrangement through which you monitor compliance, particularly those running intercity? Well, intracity, you may still run across anyone, but intercity, maybe from Abeokuta to Lagos, Abeokuta to Ota, like that, Abeokuta to Ibadan. Do you have measures in place to ensure compliance?
Yeah, we do. We have measures in place to enforce compliance. Because, all this thing is not limited to we transporters alone, but if we do something, they will believe, what do you expect? They are transporters. They are this, they are that, which is not. It cut across all the professions. Even this COVID-19 issue, there are some people that were expected to be on self-isolation, but they decided not to do so. So it's wrong to start mentioning names. They decided not to do so. So it happens everywhere. And concerning us, we are trying to do our best in trying to comply with the government policy, because it is to our own benefit. And we are not the only one that will do this. We were in partnership with the traffic management agency like the TRACE, the Federal Road Safety Corps. So they are also assisting us in enforcing this thing. As you have said, we can, our eyes are we can minimize this thing within intra-city. That is to say, the Abeokuta metropolis, we still know ourselves, we know how we can handle them, but people going to intercity or interstate, we are partnering with these road corps marshals to help us to enforce this thing. Because if we monitor them in the motor park, that you should not carry more than 2 passengers in a row. Our people serve the commuters, they will try and wait for them along the road. How do we know that? That's why we are partnering with these traffic management agencies like the TRACE, the road safety. So they also stop them on the way. So, and anybody that flouts the government policy, there's a huge punishment for such person.
Okay. Sorry, Moses, you will take, I just want to quickly do a follow-up on that. Now, most times when we have situations like this, transporters do take advantage. Where they used to take maybe 100 naira, you just discovered that they begin to charge like 120, 130, 150 and all of that. Some people are now saying perhaps it's because there's reduction in the fuel costs. That's why we have managed to maintain a relatively low price, even though from our report yesterday, somewhere additional 200 naira was added, I think from Pansheke to Lagos. How do you intend to balance this?
Thank you. The reduction in pump price, PMS, is a welcome development. In fact, we appreciate the federal government in doing so. But this thing requires just simple arithmetic. Like a bus flying Lagos from Kuto or Pansheke, like you have said, they are using like 30 liters of fuel at the rate of 145 naira, the old pump price. compared to the newly introduced price, which is 125 naira. That means there is deduction of 20 naira in a liter. And the people buying 30 liters, that means there is 600 naira reduction. Let's think of it that a bus that is carrying 14 passengers before and now carrying about 9 passengers. You can compare a decrease in fuel pump to the decrease of the number of passengers carried. It's true, the gap is still widening, but it's a welcome development. We appreciate the federal government in reducing it, but it has no just simple effect on the total, the income of the vehicles. I think you get what I'm trying to say. So this is just 600 naira per trip, and let's assume that the money for people going to Lagos is 600 naira. 600 naira times 5 passengers, that's 3,000 naira. That's our own shortage, and the government deducts 600 naira from the fuel pump price. So, but that is not the issue, because health is wealth. We have experienced so many things. We have experienced a scarcity in fuel. We try to cope. We have experienced some during the time of when they said they want to remove fuel subsidy. So we stayed at home. This thing is part of us. We have endured enough. We know how to cope, but the problem we are having is that some of these vehicles that we are using, we are buying them in higher purchase. And so we have to repay the loan. So, but the reduction of the fuel pump have just simple significant in the outcome of the income we are gathering from people. But this is our own contribution in fighting this pandemic virus disease. So that is just it.
Yeah, Comrade Adekunjo, the federal government may ban interstate travels or intercity travels, intertown, so to speak. So how prepared is the union?
Well, it's our prayer that this disease should not exceed the time limit, because there is nothing we can do. Because as of, let's take for example, we are in Abeokuta, moving to Lagos. Lagos is another state. We have tried that if Lagos State said they don't want vehicles to come to ply their area, and in Ogun State, our government doesn't want people to suffer, because we have families within the town and all other states. We can only, it is our prayer that government should not shut down transport business. The only assistance that they can do for us, they've started doing it by reducing the number of passengers for us. So if they can do that, if Lagos State said they don't want, they want to shut down transport sector, that is road transport. If Lagos State, for example, said we have reduced our own, by the time we get to the boundary of Lagos State, we can discharge our passenger and come back. So that's another thing, because people, there is no money in the town. We transport sector, we don't have any other business than this particular business we are talking about. If they shut down this, what is the alternative for sustaining our families at home? Our children are now at home. They shut down the school, some other offices were shut down. So how are we going to survive? It's our prayer that government should look for other ways of to curtail the spread of this disease. They've tried on our own side. So it's our prayer that this will not be a long program. God will take control of the disease and wipe it out from our state and throughout the federation.
Okay, Comrade Akinbade, let's talk about sensitization now, because at times people do not understand how this virus operates. I've had people say, coronavirus is a mirage, something like that, and we also seen people, abusing alcohol. People are now. Some people will say if they can take ogogoro, in quotes, that it will debar them from having this virus. So, Away from giving flyers, to drivers, how sensitized, are your members?
Yeah, like I've said, we have been running some programs, that is the awareness programs for our people. In that jingle, the precautive measures were mentioned to our people in mother's tongue, in the local language, because that's how we can pass the information. Because if you are telling people some beneficiary programs and we are trying to telling them the language they did not understand, is as good as not telling them anything. So that's why we are trying to pass all these informations in our local language. And our people, we are trying to sensitizing them. Like I've said earlier, earth is web. And this thing, the most dangerous thing about it is that you can be a carrier without noticing. And the primary carrier can infect someone, and the person that is infected will show these symptoms first, will be affected first. So this thing, the government alone cannot do it. That's why we are trying, we as transporters, we transport people, we transport groups, we transport, and we are working, we are very closer to people. And talking of abusing of alcohol and all these things, we are trying as much as possible to enlighten our people that, look, this thing is not a remedy to what we are talking about. The only remedy is to keep social distancing. Avoid people as much as you can, and trying to be in a clean environment. Personal hygiene is very, very crucial. You see, those people that are abusing alcoholic drink, that means they have been addicted to it before. It is very, very difficult for a person that has never taken alcohol to start abusing it within this short period of time in disguise of this pandemic. That means they have been used to it before. As we are still saying, we have so many of our people that are still not taking or tasting alcohol. That's not an excuse. You can take hot tea, even if the government or health organization are saying taking something hot can prevent it or can let it go into the stomach instead of going into the lungs or some organs. You can take hot tea instead of that. And for you people that are going to, there's a measure on ground before that. Once you take alcohol, you cannot drive in our motor park. That one was on ground before. And because of this, we cannot bend that law for COVID-19. So that one is still on ground. We are still on it. There are task force. There are people in charge of that. If they smell alcohol in your mouth, you can't drive to anywhere. You cannot take any passengers. And we're also using this medium to appeal to our commuters, our passengers, that once they smell alcohol from the mouth of a driver or bus conductor, they should raise an alarm. So it's not an excuse to be taking alcohol, abusing it. It's not allowed in our profession.
But what about driving the sellers out of the parks?
Driving this, we have been saying this for long. We are also tenants in motor parks. We are not the one that owns park. The parks belongs to the government. The parks belongs to the government. There are some private parks also, but all these major parks, Taoshi Motor Park, Kuto, Pansheke, they belongs to the government. And we have appealed to the government several times. Your tenant, the people acquiring shops from you, just try and know what they want to say in that shop. Because we should mind of fundamental human rights. If you go there and destroy their goods, you will see a petition from a lawyer that you have deprived them of their fundamental human rights. And we fought, there was a time that we fought with somebody and we took him to station, they took him to court. If I tell you the fine in the court of law, you will think somehow of which kind of law is that? And it is not the fault of the people that decides this. It has been written that if person sells alcohol and the person was charged to court, this is the so amount he will pay. So we are still using this, medium to call on the government to assist us in fighting selling of alcoholic drink in our motor parks. We are trying our best. We are trying, and all these alcohol sellers, most of them are not in the motor parks. They are from one bus stop to another. Even it is very, very common in the truck drivers. You can be to one place, the place that is not a motor park, you will see how they will line up their vehicles. Because of what?
Are they not under your control?
Yes, they are. We are trying they are under our control once they are in the park. Okay. But as soon as they leave the park, we cannot be monitoring them. We have thousands of trucks in this. How many are we going to monitor?
Okay. All right. Comrade Adekunjo, yes. Before this COVID-19, there have always been issue of commuters complaining of having more than necessary in cabs and buses. Anywhere from Lafenwa, for instance, if you are going towards C4, going towards Ota, going towards cars will carry 2 in the front. They will put 4 in the middle, 3 at the back. If you challenge them, they will tell you, do you know how much our leaders are charging us? They bill us this, they bill us that. Where do you want us to get the money? How true is this? And if that is true, do you think it is right?
This issue of carrying overloading,
yes,
is never a welcome program as far as our union is concerned. We are 2 rival unions controlling all the parts.
No, we are two
brothers in partnership. We're maintaining the parks. We have been telling our members you should not exceed the normal capacity of your vehicle.
Yeah.
So if they are saying that the money they are paying for this in the park to the union leaders is outrageous, that's why they are carrying, they are telling lie. Because in that park, we are tenants, as my brother said. We have some money payable to the government. There is nothing we can, it's only the one that is due for our union that we can reduce. There is a standing order on how much to pay by a car to the government. There is standing order on how much to pay by a bus to the government. It's only our own that we can reduce on that issue. But there's never a time we encourage them to carry more than the capacity of their vehicle. That is why we have task forces in all our motor parks. Go to our obstructions. We usually monitor, send task force to that place.
Which one is obstruction? It's even good you talk in that direction. Which one is obstruction? I would like, give us an example so that I understand what
you say. At that Kuto roundabout,
okay,
heading to governor's office, you will see some people lying there waiting for vehicles. Okay. That is not a registered motor park. The registered motor park go to that place for the safety of yourself and some other things relating to entry vehicle at obstruction, kidnapping, this and that. And good to our state governor, he has directed, our excellency, directed that there should be no obstruction. Anybody that wants to enter a vehicle should go to the normal motor park. Because in the motor park, we have registered manifesto that people will fail to know that this is where you are going to be, the vehicle you bought. So issue of carrying passengers exceeding the number of capacity of the vehicle is never a welcome issue. Our task force member usually stop that vehicle with a severe penalty. So that's what we are doing on that issue.
I still wish to see that really coming into fulfillment, because I have personally, severally experienced it. At breweries, they will pick 2 in the front, 4 in the middle, 3 at the back. If you get to the next one, even at the obstruction, you said obstruction at, what's the name of that place now? Very close to St. Peter's College.
Olomori.
The same thing. And when you get down to the major park down there, it's the same thing. So I don't know how often your task force, you want to say something on that?
Yes, let me say,
Please
let me
say
something on it. You know, you see all these vehicles that we are using, you know, they have their own capacity.
Yes.
The total number of passengers that they can carry. Before, a Mazda bus of 4 seats, we used to carry 18 passengers with it. But our leaders at the top, the president from the national headquarters, they sat down with the Federal Road Safety Corps to reduce the passengers on the road to 33. That's the capacity of the vehicle. If we allow our drivers to carry overloading, maybe passengers or goods, it affects the vehicles. A vehicle that's supposed to use, let's say 2 years or 1 year, if you are using them to carry overloading, it can use like 6 months before it will be grounded. So we don't allow this and we don't encourage it. We know how much we are spending on these vehicles. We know how, even the tires, it affects the tires.
Okay.
And do you know how much we are buying a tire, just ordinary tire, and we are using 4 tires, 5 tires with spare one. So it's not encouraged. We cannot encourage that. It weakens the vehicle.
Okay.
Yes, it weakens.
All right. Before Moses take the next question, let me just say that you can be part of this discussion. The line will be open now. If you want to call us, if you have questions, if you have suggestions, whichever way, we are looking at the transport business in this present situation we find ourselves around the globe. The world used to be global village. It's like these villages are now being separated by this unexpected pandemic. So the line will be on the screen, so you can just call us and be part of this discussion.
Okay, comrade. Many a time, I've noticed that the vehicles we use, especially for interstate travels, are so old, at times obsolete, and I've also seen cases in which, in bad shape. Before you get to your destination, this vehicle at times break down, and the passengers will have to wait for some minutes. At times the tires would burst. Situations like that. Also, as a union, what are you also doing to ensure that maybe we have new buses?
Your brand of vehicles.
Yes.
We have. My brother, as he has said, that we usually buy our vehicles on hire purchase terms. So we have decided to be changing the vehicles. Old vehicles, we usually tell them, this vehicle is no more worthy to operate in our park. Go and sell it off. Get the remaining money, take it to your dealer, collect another brand. And in addition to that, for passengers not to suffer, we usually have some jingles pasted on the dashboard of the vehicle. So in case they have any challenges on the road, whether the vehicle broke down or whatever, they should call on the lines. I usually attend to a series of calls like that. So we will immediately send another vehicle to go and discharge the passenger, instead of allowing them to stay near the battalion, even particularly at this time when issue of kidnapping is on the race. So we don't want passengers to stay on the road for more than 5 minutes before they can get the other alternative. So we usually put our numbers on our vehicles so that if they have any challenges on that road, they should call us immediately. We have decided to change some of our vehicles, not as at before. For the past 10 years now, you can see that the vehicles that we are using on our road is 504. If not more than 10 years, if 15, 504 station wagon, this and that, no, that vehicle is not in our parks now. We have decided to be changing our vehicles to the current races of brands, so that will reduce the sufferings of the drivers and that of the passengers on the road. So we have programs pasted on our vehicles. We only implore our passengers that if they have any challenges on the road, they should look at the dashboard of the vehicle, call the number there, then we assure them that we have our task force. They will monitor and send another vehicle to that place to discharge the passengers. It is now left for the driver to do the vehicle. He may leave it there for 10 days, nothing concerns us. So our interest is to protect our passengers, that we are our vehicles from our park. So that's what we are doing concerning that.
Now, let me contribute to that.
Oh, okay.
So on that, we all these dilapidated vehicles or the vehicles that are supposed to be off the road. That's why we encourage our people to always.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, comrade. Engineer Femi is calling from Lagos. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Please, I don't know, maybe the man in the middle, that elderly man in the middle, is the chairman of the transport group. Please, I want to educate you concerning what you are saying, that government should not ban or stop the transport interstate. Please, if you understand this virus, you will not talk like that in the public. In the sense that this virus, if someone in your vehicle picks it, anybody that sits beside him will pick it. By that, they are spreading it. That is the most dangerous, and that people can contact this virus. In Lagos State now, we have been monitoring each other concerning this transport issue. That is why I told your station yesterday that I have a document that I can send to them, that if they show that document, people will not move around again. We have to secure our people from various areas by stopping transport to be working. I believe you have to buy food in your house, buy food stuff in your area, then stay away from this thing just in 2 weeks so that Nigeria will not, because of money, will not kill ourselves. Look at what government did. Immediately they had that one person got this in Nigeria. Instead of them to shut down the airport, all our area, they refused. Look at what is happening now. Please, I will beg you, don't encourage government not to stop transport within interstate, because that is the plan we are planning against it in Lagos now. That no vehicle should come in from various states now. Please, that's my take.
All right, thank you, Engineer Femi.
Yeah.
Part of the effort that the government is trying to put in place that in order to, and that's why we have actually brought those of you who are actually in the business, so that we also know it's going to affect your business. I will still get to that place, because I have the feelings that perhaps your unions should be talking with government and see how
which way forward.
So yes, so
we'll do that.
I wanted to ask a question earlier from Comrade Akingbade that seems to be escaping because it was supposed to be a follow-up question, but as soon as I recall that, I may still have to ask you. But as it is now, the government is trying to say there will be ban on interstate. The federal government is actually thinking in that direction, and intercity. Now, supposing, and that engineer Femi from Lagos is also saying something, that supposing it comes to that, what are the measures you people are putting in place in order to take care of your members?
Yes, this thing, if
okay, I think we have another, we have another caller, Olawale from Ijokwota. Hello, Olawale.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Hello.
I'm calling from Ijoko.
Yes, go ahead, we can hear you.
I commend the effort of the government and those elders there. But I don't agree with the last caller. If that is the way the virus is spreading, what about the case of money? Are they going to stop money from circulating? Won't these people touch money?
Sorry, can you come up with that your question again? We couldn't hear you earlier. I
said I didn't agree with the last caller.
Yeah.
If government should shut everything, what about money? The money we are spending, would they stop money from circulating? Or wouldn't these people touch money?
Oh, okay.
If they touch money, wouldn't they give it to another person? Do they know how money, a currency travels in a day?
Okay.
Now, and that part, let me hang that. Concerning people buying food stuff at home, is it everybody that have money to buy food stuff that will keep him for a week in the house?
Okay.
What's the effort of the government concerning the poor people in the
All right. Thank you, Olawale from Ijoko. Two issues he has raised. He said, okay, if you say people should not move,
Okay.
what about the currency we use? Do you know what has happened to the currency? And then, since they said that thing can still stay on any item for some time, I am not too sure of the specific period now. If you don't, that if it's on a particular item and somebody else touches it, now he's saying that what about money? And he's also saying that, okay, if he has us to buy food, is it not those people with enough money
that will be able to buy
that will be able to buy? I don't know. It's I don't know whether any of you want to react to that at all.
Okay, I think you want to talk on that.
Okay, I was talking about something before. But on
yes, I was asking you how are your members preparing if eventually they said no
station
yes.
Yes, like Yoruba did says, so this thing, that's why it is called pandemic. Pandemic means it's a global phenomenon, so it affects every hook and cranny of the globe. We are trying, that's why we are praying, because we cannot put that one aside, although there are some things that you cannot substitute hard work with prayer. But we should also pray to the Almighty that this thing should come to an end. We are trying to enlighten them, like the first caller said, that we should try as much as possible to store foodstuffs. But the last caller also said that not everybody has the financial strength to buy foodstuff of just 1 week at home. We are praying that this thing should come to an end, like I have said. Okay. But if it comes to that, there's nothing we can do. That's government policy.
All right. So you confirm? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Now there are so many of your vehicles, particularly in those running intercity. The cars. Many of them, they have acne permits, but they are not painted. Is this not even part of the risk? If anything happens, like the kidnapping you also mentioned earlier on, how do you trace? Why are your vehicles not painted in Ogun State color?
You see, that is government policy. The government gives directives on the color we are to pay. Yes. We are to brand our vehicles. That is you see, in the former government, they brought some other colors. In the former government of Otoba Megadane, they brought their own color. So if the present governor intends to put down some new colors for the vehicle, we cannot dictate for the government.
Yes.
I believe we are having Commissioner for Transport now, and I believe we have some things to do regarding to that particular area you are talking about. It is when they give us...
Don't you think having colored vehicles will
let me come in to that.
Okay.
Yes, it is good for the commercial buses to be in the color.
And even cabs.
And
cabs. Only in Abeokuta you see colored
yes,
cabs.
you know why that one is this because most of our vehicles are flying Lagos. And if you enter Lagos with another state color,
yes,
they may impound your vehicle. It has happened several times.
But yellow color will come to Ogun State.
Yes, it comes to Ogun State.
Do you impound the yellow?
No, that is the government. Their government. The last man then, during the time of now Minister for Housing. Yes, Fashola. So we wrote petitions to the state government through the IRS. We wrote petition to the Lagos State itself, and they said this is their own policy.
That no other state color should enter Lagos.
Yes, it happens.
Lagos colors go to other states.
come to other states.
So maybe you take that one up with the new commissioner for transport.
Yes, we will do that.
For security reasons.
For security reasons, we know that painting them in your state's color will be better. And Another thing is that the registration number, the plate number will determine the color we will paint the vehicle. You cannot put in a Lagos State registration number and paint the vehicle in Ogun State color.
I'm hearing that for the first time.
Yes. They impound vehicles then. They impounded them, many vehicles, through their through FIAO, through last month, and it was a big problem. And they do find them like 40,000, 50,000 per vehicle.
Are you saying that
my brother can testify to that?
The vehicles in Lagos don't carry other states' number?
With the registration number?
Yes.
No, if it has another state registration number, we not see the yellow color on it.
I'm getting to know that one. Just I'm getting to know that. These are some of the things that your unions will always come around to let people know some of these things. So
that is what is happening, because I've been to Lagos to bail out one vehicle that was impounded for almost 5 months at the VIO office, based on this particular issue we are talking about. Then we consulted the then SA on Transport, who wrote a letter for us to their own Commissioner for Transport in Lagos. So we fought that issue. Before we succeed in getting the vehicle out from their own secretariat, it's over 5 months. So the government of today is ready to us, because I believe the present implementation of the Commissioner for Transport is our immediate link between with transporters and that of the government. Okay. We channel all this to them.
Okay. Our time is really fast spent, but let's round off with this. I just wanted to know summarily and briefly what palliatives do you have for your members, be it in form of sanitizers, alcohol-based sanitizers. Do we have something like that for them?
See, we have, even yesterday, before we enter our secretariat, there are hand sanitizers with bowls that we are washing our hands. When we get to the main office there, that is how we apply same. Even in our motor parks now, that is what we are introducing to our passengers. If possible, at the entrance of any bus, we will do that, applying sanitizer to our passengers too, apart from the drivers. So we can only advise our members, we'll continue to tell them they should be continue to protect by applying that sanitizer and other measures that is being introduced by the government for the procurement of that disease.
Okay, the time is no more our friend.
Okay,
we have to go.
Okay, from our side, we are doing it, and
just one word.
Okay,
just
one
make
word.
It in very one short
okay, just
sentence.
one word. I will just advise our people not to be panicked on this pandemic. We should also take note of other 5 words that start with P. That is preparedness, prevention, public health, political leadership, and people. So with this, we will overcome.
That's a very beautiful. That's a very beautiful one you have brought.
Thank you.
Yes, we have to thank our 2 guests on the program today. Comrade Haruna Adekunjo is the chairman. NURTW Kuto Motor Parks, and we also have Comrade Walade Akimbade, the State Secretary of Transport Employers Association of Nigeria. Gentlemen, we thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we are only throwing greetings.
Yes.
That is it to everybody.
Thank you.
All right, that's where we draw the curtain on Newdawn today. Newdawn returns on Monday with another set of presenters here and possibly other topics. And that's what we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, while Otonjo takes Tuesday and Thursday. So we leave you in the hands of Almighty God. Bye-bye.